I'm on a different screen, so I couldn't see who that was. But hello. Oh, that was Pat. All right, we're live streaming now.
I just realized that it's also spring break, so I'm hoping we can make quorum today.
Well, we only had, I think, 4 or 5 people say they couldn't make it, and our quorum's one shorter than usual. We're getting there, and it's 6 o'clock. I'm going to start the webinar, so we should see attendees start to join us.
Hey, good evening.
Sounds good. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Sam.
Hi, everyone.
I think everybody else is muted, John. Hello.
Hello. I'm going to mute myself now.
No problem. I think we're 4 shy right now, Julio.
Thank you.
That's a nice picture, Julio.
Thank you. In Red Hook.
I think 2 more and we'll have it.
I
I
think
think
we
we've
have.
got it, Julio.
Sorry, what was that?
I think we've got a quorum.
Great, thank you. Welcome everyone to the April board meeting. My name is Julio Peña III. I am the first vice chairperson. I will be chairing the meeting this evening. Before we get started, I'm going to open the meeting for today. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you, Beverly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
Thank you. And now I will turn it over to Maria, who I believe will be taking the roll call.
Okay, good evening, board members. I will be calling your name. Once I call your name, please unmute yourself, say here or present, and mute yourself once again. Thank you. Ramon Acevedo? Ramon Acevedo? Sandra Alfonso?
Present. Good evening.
Thank you. Grisela Amador?
Present.
Thank you. Genesis Aquino?
Present.
Thank you. Nicholas Azadian?
Present.
Thank you. Mohammed Bahi? Mohammed Bahi? Joan Body?
Here.
Thank you. Stacy Boyd? Stacy Boyd? Gladys Bruno?
Present.
Thank you. Julixa Campusano? Julixa Campusano? Joseph Canale?
Present.
Thank you. Justin Collins? Justin Collins? John DeLuper?
Present.
Thank you. Beatrice Sapio?
Present.
Thank you. David Estrada? Cynthia Felix?
Here. Hello,
Thank
everyone.
Hello, thank you. John Fontillas?
Here.
Thank you. Ken Fung? Ken Fung? John Garcia?
Present.
Thank you. Anthony Giglio? Anthony Giglio? Cynthia Gonzalez?
Present.
Thank you. Hector Gonzalez?
Here.
Thank you. Kenny Guan? Kenny Guan? Nicole Huang?
Yes, here.
Thank you. Zachary Jay-Z? Zachary Jay-Z? John Johnston?
I'm here.
Thank you. Beverly Kleinman?
Present.
Thank you. Waco? Waco? Joseph Lara? Barbara Lee? Barbara Lee? Christina Lem?
I'm here.
Thank you. Jimmy Lee?
Present.
Thank you. Paul Mack?
Present.
Thank you. Antoinette Martinez?
Present.
Thank you. Aurelis Martinez? Aurelis Martinez? Marilyn Melman?
Here.
Thank you. Dan Murphy? Dan Murphy? Gloria Rodriguez Navoa? Gloria Rodriguez Navoa? Julio Peña III?
Present.
Thank you. Rovika Roskinshawn?
Present.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick? Pat Ruiz?
Here.
Thank you. Sam Sierra?
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Victor Swinton?
Present. Good evening.
Thank you. Cindy
You're welcome.
Vanderbosch?
Present.
Thank you. Catherine Walsh.
Present.
Thank you. Fred Wolf. Fred Wolf. And Cesar Zuniga. Roll call has been called.
Thank you, Maria. I'd like to go to the adoption of the agenda. Can I entertain a motion to adopt?
Pat motions to adopt.
Second
there a-
motion.
Thank you, seconded by Joan. If there are no objections to adopting the agenda, hearing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 16th, 2022 board meeting.
Motion to accept, no changes.
Second by Sam.
Motioned by Pat and seconded by Sam. If there are no objections to adopting the minutes of March 16th, hearing and seeing none, the motion to adopt is accepted. Before we go on to public comment, I'd like to welcome the council member Alexa Aviles, for a few moments before we go on to public comment. Council member, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope you're all really doing well. We have had a very difficult week on top of a difficult couple of years. So I just want to first say, sending you all of our healing prayers and good vibes for our entire community that experienced the horrific events of last Tuesday. We were there with you. We want to thank you for participating in the event on Saturday. I forget which day. It was Saturday, right? Saturday. The days are one long day, abbreviated by some sleep. But thank you, Community Board 7, for partnering and sponsoring the Unity Day in Sunset Park. It was a lovely event. We had so many community members come out. Many of you came out. So thank you for your support. Thank you for supporting our neighbors. Obviously, I think the big thing that we take away from that event is that we need more healing spaces. We need more healing support and services throughout the district, and they're going to have to look real different, right? And we're going to have to meet each other where we are. So I just want to say that this is an ongoing process. Trauma takes a long time to mend from. And so however we can be supportive, please feel free to obviously contact our office, and we will try our best to connect you with support. We did, together with Assembly Member Marcela Mitaines, we have a resource document that includes some actual apps that are free, and some health practitioners have found to be actually quite helpful in addressing stress and trauma and stuff like that. So we'll be sure to circulate it. We'll send it to Jeremy so he can send it out to the board, and please send it to everyone you know. In terms of just legislatively, there is a lot happening in City Hall. There have been delays, and some of you may have read the article that it seems like legislation is more delayed this term than ever, and that is in fact the case. But things are finally starting to move forward. One of the things that we've put forward is a resolution calling on New York State Legislature to sign Assembly Bill 1866, and this is the NYCHA Utility Accountability Act. And this is really, NYCHA residents across the city, and certainly in Red Hook, face outages all the time. And this will ensure that NYCHA actually will provide rent abatements, because in fact, what happens is some people can be without utilities for months on end. And it is a financial burden, it's an emotional burden, it is nutritionally problematic, among everything else. So one of the things we are trying to do as chair of the Public Housing Committee is to bring more accountability into NYCHA and support the residents. Obviously, there is a ton to do there, and more will be forthcoming. But just to let you know, we've also partnered in on a whole range of other legislation, which will start to hit the books. But legislation is slow. It's a very slow process, and implementation is a whole other ball of wax. But happy to talk more and answer specific questions on that. I just want you to know that we continue to see a very large number of residents from across the district, including a lot of people from South Brooklyn, whose council members either don't have language appropriate staffers or accessibility, or actually that's probably the main reason. The word gets out that we speak multiple languages, and so folks from all across Brooklyn are coming here to get support. Today, I saw Julio at the ribbon cutting for Red Hook ball fields 5 and 8, a long time battle since 2015. Finally got to cut the ribbon. It's a beautiful field, but there is an enormous amount of work to be done. There are other fields that need to get remediated. Certainly the work in the houses is something that is, you know, a top priority. But it was a nice day to be out there and to see, you know, some positive things happening for the residents. We have a lot of work to do in Sunset. I have been talking about our Sunset parks, particularly our parks along the 3rd Avenue corridor ad nauseum to anyone who will listen to me around their state of affairs and the fact there have been no investments in those parks for 20 plus years, to see if we can get both the mayor, obviously I don't have a sufficient resources in terms of council member capital budget to do even one park alone. So we have to really advocate. I implore all of you that we must advocate and send letters to the mayor that we do not want to cut in the parks budget. We need an increase to 1%. And we need a specific allocation to our community who has not seen equitable funding to support the refurbishment, honestly, of the parks from Peña Herrera all the way to Demick, who haven't seen any love or any investment at all and are still very, very much used by our community. So I can talk to you more, and I realize I'm going on and on because there's so much to report, but I'd be happy to also answer questions at the end. We had our first interfaith gathering of leaders in the community. I'm very excited about this. Many of the faith leaders had not known each other and were very surprised to see they came with very much the same concerns and interests and had an interest in joining together and having more of a collective voice on the things that they would like to advocate for our community and residents. So I'm very excited about that. Lastly, I'll say we'll be distributing rapid tests and masks on Tuesday, the 26th at 1 p.m. on 44th and 5th. You know, rapid tests are supposed to be free, but they're still $20 in the store. So this could be a savings. We are still in a pandemic. It is highly contagious still. While it may feel a milder version, there are still people who are very vulnerable to this virus. So I please ask everyone, I know we're tired of the masks. I get it. I'm tired of them too, but please remember your neighbor. You may be okay, but your neighbor may not. So I please ask for your patience and your commitment to just be compassionate in that way. Come and get masks, come and get rapid tests. We'll have, we're doing mobile office hours in Red Hook and also in Chinatown, in addition to the office hours that we have here at the district office. And a whole slew of Earth Day events, I think. We have a mobile health screening van, cancer screening van, and an Earth Day cleanup that we're doing with PCR. Let's see, when is that? This Saturday, 10 to 1:30. There's so much going on. So I guess I will leave it at that because I will talk for 5 hours and y'all got a lot of business to do. As a former board member, I know how long these meetings go. One thing, I'm sorry, Julio. I'm sorry, I said I was gonna stop, but one thing I should address, because I received a letter today from the board inquiring about what we were doing about last mile warehouse. I was a little surprised since we did a pretty thorough report out to the committee around our activities on last mile warehouses. So I'm not sure if the committee had not yet reported to the full board, but I'm obviously happy to do that. we know this situation is urgent. We have been attending all the meetings, attending more meetings with other folks around the city. And there are three things in addition to what Assemblymember Marcela Mitanes is proposing at the state level. The first thing I just have to say is that there are no silver bullets here, despite how egregious the situation is, that we have a concentration of these facilities in our district and their health impacts above all and everything else, where there are a ton of other negative impacts, is a real problem. So we're doing a couple things. Number one, we've been party to submitting the request for a text amendment, which will basically be the same thing, the same treatment that was done for the hotels, right? We had that proliferation of hotels and we finally had to do a text amendment so that people could actually have to apply and they just don't show up. This is not an immediate solution. This is everything when it's law takes years. So we don't know if DCP is going to be interested in this as a solution. We submitted it. We'll see what we get back. The other thing that we're doing is there is local law that we've been working on in terms of a licensure element. And that would be that the companies would have to request a license and meet certain standards. This too is not a silver bullet and won't stop the situation. It'll slow it down at best and hopefully determine kind of thresholds that these facilities would have to meet in order to be granted a license. So that has been introduced into City Council. It is now going to be, I think now we're going to get into the nitty gritty and debate different elements in terms of both, ¿cómo se dice? I'm forgetting my words. Anyway, the labor standard element, environmental element, and the licensure mechanism itself. The other thing that we're looking at is just straight mitigation. The facilities are here. There are too many trucks, too many cars in the area, and we've got to figure out how to mitigate. And we will hopefully have a meeting set with the DOT commissioner. I believe May 13th is when he committed to doing a walkthrough. So I think I will need to circle back with you all to figure out collectively, like, how do we strategize the most important elements that we need to hammer in during that visit, because we have a lot of transportation needs above and beyond even the last mile facility elements. So I will be circling back to you all around that. I think in terms of other elements, I am open and we are meeting and we are really going to do whatever we need to do at this point in time. We have to demand that the mayor, honestly, his economic development approach does not add fuel to the fire around using industrial waterfront land to do whatever they want to do because they feel like it inspires economic development. So there's a lot of work and advocacy in terms of protecting that area that we need to do collectively and figuring out what is a healthy ecosystem for industrial manufacturing area that doesn't kill it. And I'm of the opinion that the proliferation of last mile facilities in this area of industrial manufacturing is going to be kind of the death of it, right? We want a healthy ecosystem of different manufacturing and creative businesses there for that to be successful. And just having one last mile facility after the next in our industrial areas, I think is very much bad news in the short and long term. So I'm going to honestly stop there, and Katie is ready to ask questions. Or at least Katie, you're the only one I see because I can't see everybody. So back to you, sorry.
Thank you, Council Member. And we'll entertain just a few questions from board members. And Katie, I see your hand up first. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I don't have any echo from me.
You're good.
You're good. Okay, great. Christine did come on the March 23rd subcommittee meeting and gave us a sense of the legislation that you all are introducing. And then also we have another subcommittee meeting next week on Wednesday. And so I'll do that as part of my committee report outs. So Alexa, just to let you guys know that all the committee notes and everything are available from the last meeting.
I know you're stellar at doing committee notes, and I'm sure, I guess it hadn't made it to the board. So the letter was phrased as if there has been no communication. So I was a little concerned about that, but wanted to address it head on.
Pat Ruiz.
Hi, Alexa. Hope you're doing well. You look tired, but you look like you're very, very happy. My question is in regard to the cameras at 36th Street Subway Station. Do we know what's up? Are they working? If not, when are they going to work?
Great question, Pat. Good to see you always. So we have conflicting information, right? First, it was the cameras are not functional from here to there. And then it was the cameras work fine. It was just the Wi-Fi that didn't work. And so that was the last iteration of what I have heard. So there was a request sent to the MTA to do a full reporting on what actually happened, and to not only do it for obviously for 36th Street, but citywide. I was not surprised to hear that those cameras don't work, because the truth of the matter is it is an endemic problem across the city. Often the city invests hundreds of thousands of dollars to install them, and they quickly become defunct, and then they have contracts and they can't find contractors. And so it does not, I say that not to say that it is not important. I'm just saying that I was not surprised to hear that. So as soon as I find out more information, I will certainly get back to you and let you know. But they were asked to report the status and the plan moving forward around those cameras, and we'll see if they respond. What I've learned very quickly is that city agencies often don't have answers to the very questions that we all have in community. And it takes a lot of work to get some direct answers around things, which, you know, is not a good practice, quite frankly, but certainly a frustrating part of this job that I've experienced at the most local level, even as a board member asking city agencies.
Thank
Jimmy?
you.
Oh, sorry, Pat. Jimmy Lee.
Oh, hi, Alyssa. I'm just wondering, is there any discussion in the council, any like a plan how we can make like the train safer for everyone? You know, the camera is not working, and I heard, I read one of the articles saying, you know, the one of the officers responded to the scene, and the walkie-talkie was not working, and he asked the one of the you know, commuter to call 911, and you know, thank God, if it was a terrorist attack, you know, I think we can all tell that the city is not ready for this, you know, with all the you know, how you can see that how easily to smuggle the smoke bomb, the weapons, you know, all the things, you know, and afterward, you know, when the attack happened, you know, the response to the scene, you know, how easily for the suspect to get away. And it looks like, you know, it's totally caught by surprise, you know, nothing was prepared. I'm just wondering if there is any discussion in the council to talk about, you know, like how we can make cities subway system safer for everybody, you know.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jimmy. It is absolutely the question that is being talked about in multiple circles, right? And all kinds of different views around it. You know, I think I've mentioned before, right? The camera situation would not have prevented the attack, and I'm very clear about that. I think we see that across the city, right? Cameras don't prevent anything. They give you a better view. they hopefully maybe help you on the tail end. But it is not a prevention strategy, right? So I think this question is a very live one, Jimmy, that we're having all over the place. You know, I think it's not an easy fix, right? This is a layered situation where we need investments in multiple strategies, right? This is not a one-hit wonder, sadly. I wish that were the case, but it's not, right? We're gonna need like full-throated investments in all different things, right? Both infrastructure, services, mental health supports. And, you know, I have been very public around the fact that it's not just about removing guns, it's about stopping the manufacturing of guns from my perspective. Because we just have this conversation over and over again, right? And we create industries to manage outcomes of gun violence as opposed to doing more prevention in the first place. So I think, Jimmy, I don't have a full direct answer for you because there hasn't been a full direct plan outlined by either the city council or the mayor. I think that's what's being talked about and negotiated. And quite frankly, you know, violence looks real different and safety looks different in many different communities. And, you know, our subway infrastructure needs so much investment, right? Just for it to be safe for people in general, right? Like access and getting out, right? We have these systems that are very limited in access points anyway. So, you know, you think many people were hurt just trying to exit the subway, let alone actually getting, you know, hurt by the shooter. So there's a lot of work to be done, Jimmy. Yeah, so I wish I had more specifics, but I think that's all being worked out and is very much top of mind for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Council Member. I know we have a few more hands up, but I'd like to turn it over to our other Council Member, Representative Council Member Shahana Hani, who has just joined us.
And can I just say, Julio, for those board members who wanna chat, please just feel free to give us a call. Very accessible, happy to respond to any other questions you have. Email, call, whatever makes sense and feels fine for you. So this is not the end of the conversation, so please reach out. Thank you, Julio. Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you for joining. Councilmember Hanif, welcome.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. I'm Councilmember Shahana Hanif, neighbors with Councilmember Aviles, and I was just really diligently listening to her responses to some of your urgent and pressing pertinent questions. And, you know, on the issue of this transit infrastructure and making our trains safer, I mean, much of the jurisdiction is on the state, and we have had deep disinvestments in the transit system in the state. And so there's so much work to be done in coordination with our state partners to make sure that the transit system is fully funded, accessible, and that we're not beefing up as just the only solution, beefing up the transit system and our subways with officers whose radios don't work, who are relentlessly, incessantly fining fruit vendors and other vendors like Elsa, who was on the news. So there's much work to do. And I think that conversation includes all of us, because this is not a simple solution, but we know that this exists, and all of us here have used the trains or are using the trains on a daily basis to get to work, to get to school, for all of our day-to-day lives. So, I mean, it might be worth, if this has been a conversation on your mind, for council members Aviles and I to host a town hall of sorts with the MTA. I mean, I think there's more to this than just sharing some remarks about the safety in our city. I just wanted to extend my solidarity and love for the Sunset Park community. I was following Councilmember Avila's lead. My biggest priority was our schools. We geographically share School District 15, and that was top of mind on the morning of, leading to the evening, to really make sure that all of the students and families had communication, that the principals were well resourced with any information that they needed. It was tough to get information, I will say, as elected officials. We, like all of you, had to wait until the NYPD did its press conferences to get vital information about how to correspond with our constituents, and that was tough. I wish there was more transparency and that we were a little bit more involved to get information out. But I'm here and I want to continue to lift up the organizing that is happening, the advocacy that you all are doing, raising funds for the people who are impacted and are still healing from the wounds of the day of, and also the trauma, the community at large dealing with the trauma. So however I can be helpful as the council member next door, please keep me in the loop. I am trying my hardest to show up to the community board meetings. It has been difficult and I'm acclimating, but I want to be as present as I can be to make sure that that we are better networked in serving this section of Brooklyn, whether that's Councilmember Aviles and I, and then in this more southern part, I've got Councilmember Joseph, northern part, I got Council members Lincoln Ressler and Hudson. We really want to be more networked in our approach to providing care and assistance and resources, and being coordinated with how we address constituent issues that are not just simply issues that impact the 39th district or the 38th district. These are borough-wide issues and also often citywide issues. So I'm here, happy to respond to any questions, but just wanted this to be a sort of introductory moment for me as I begin to attend meetings. My staff members, Moose and Mia, have been attending the Community Board 7 meetings in particular, but here as a resource and responsive to any issues that we can coordinate for the community out here. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much. And we'll entertain just a few questions from board members, and I see Genesis.
Greetings, everyone. Thank you, Councilmember Hanif, for attending, and Aviles as well. Question for both of you. How is the City Council involved in the conversation around the metal detectors that are coming to the subway? And I'm wondering more about your involvement, or the City Council involvement, in when it comes to the technology and ensuring that it's focused on safety, and there are measures taken to ensure that it's not going to be a tool for more criminalization of low-income Black and brown people in New York City.
Well, I will speak for myself. I 100% oppose metal detectors in subways and any expansion to surveillance technology, which in any iteration that we have had surveillance in the city, and I speak from experience as someone born and raised in a Muslim community, Muslim myself, deeply impacted, traumatized by post 9/11, the Muslim surveillance program. Any iteration of surveillance technology disproportionately impacts and hurts Black and brown New Yorkers. The metal detector conversation, the mayor in his interviews, he's flip-flopped, so there's no no guarantee that this is arriving into the city, but I vehemently oppose the installation of metal detectors in our subway system. Just earlier this morning, Councilmember Alexa and I were with the Urban Youth Collaborative, young people who are fighting for the removal of police officers from their schools, because what they've seen as an expansion in police officers and not mental health healthcare services, librarians in every single school. Those divestments have hurt them. And many of the schools that these young people attend, and if you saw the crowd, all Black and brown young people, including in schools, attending schools with metal detectors. So this is a conversation that I am trying to stay on top of to make sure that it doesn't happen. And I think we should be very much alert and alarmed if the mayor makes any moves. But I know that I would be in opposition. And I've talked at length about the ways in which surveillance has harmed New Yorkers when the mayor rolled out the plainclothes officers unit or revived it, and also took on counterterrorism chief John Miller to demand, to offer an apology to the Muslim community for the harm that the NYPD conducted. And so they have a different perception of surveillance and do not believe that they've harmed New Yorkers. But I will stand with community here. I don't think metal detectors are a way to go to keep us safe.
Thank you, Councilmember. I'll just say really quickly, Genesis, that we have not been engaged in any formal conversation around any of these plans or any details about the plans. I think they were thrown out very much as kind of like a response, like, oh, we'll do metal detectors, we'll do technology with no real kind of assessment of what that actually means, its implications, funding. So there have not been any real conversations on the city council side. What is happening on the mayoral side, I don't know, because it changes every time there's kind of a public discussion. So, I think that is where we are. And I agree with you, and certainly with Councilmember Hanif. We know that the technologies that have been used, the surveillance technologies that have been used, are very problematic and have disproportionately harmed Black and brown people across the country when they have been tested and tried. And you may have seen the articles that said, oh yeah, they have a new technology, but it's gonna stop, it'll scan for Chromebooks and for guns. And they said, well, if you stop the scanning for Chromebooks, then you're going to miss the guns. And so, the reality of our subway is that doesn't make any sense at all when you're talking about a system that has millions of people moving through it. So I guess what I underscore is prevention, root causes, and really looking closely at what has transpired and how we can do better.
Thank you both.
Thank you. And I know Nick has a question, but I have a follow-up question. And I know we talked about this before, or there was a follow-up answer. And this actually comes from a question from an attendee, so from Christina Das, and I'm stealing it. But I know the MTA is a state agency, so I'm a little bit confused as to how the mayor wants to put metal detectors in a state agency in the city subways. I know they're kind of like New York City subways, but what would the budget look like if this does happen? And would the city council have any kind of oversight into any kind of like fiscal authority? And if so, can the council use their fiscal authority in this mechanism?
The question is right on. Julio, it is a state agency of which the city council will have no oversight ability over because it is a state agency. So the short answer is no, we have no oversight. How the mayor can compel the state to do what he wants it is a different question. And we have seen that in terms of, rollbacks of very sound policies that have been vetted. So the mayor can try to compel, he can potentially invest in some things, but there will be no oversight as far as I understand it.
Thank you. And I'll turn to Nick for the final question.
My question is really directed back to Councilmember Hanif, which is, although we are opposed to the metal detectors, my question would be this, is that I sincerely doubt this gentleman would have been able to board a New York City subway carrying the 9mm weapon that he carried along if there were the metal detectors there. And so my question to you is, based on the rhetoric, it sounds like shifting resources from the police to other sources is where you guys would like to go with this. However, how do you prevent this from happening again? Because we live in this neighborhood. Many of us depend on the train system, just like everyone else in the city. And truthfully, that is really the lifeblood of the city. And if people are concerned for their lives to ride the subway system like they were in parts of the 70s and the 60s, more like the 70s and early 80s, let's say, then you really have, New York going backwards rather than forward. And as a secondary question, how do you then also protect the Fourth Amendment rights of the folks that are going to be traveling if you were to increase security presence?
That's a tough question. I don't have an answer to that. It's something I think about because I use the train every single day. And one of the first thoughts I had, because I just had my left hip replaced and up until that day was using a cane to go up and down the stairs, I was thinking about the folks with disabilities who were trapped at that moment, whether they were using a cane, whether there were parents with strollers. This is an issue that does not have a simple fix. And I think we just cannot be fixated on the carceral options at hand here. And even before what took place on Tuesday, New Yorkers have felt unsafe in the subways. And in response to that, we added 1,000 more police officers who have authority to stop passengers and frisk or check their bags. So I don't have an immediate answer. I am opposed to metal detectors, plainly. We've got the police officers now at a scale of over 3,500 who have the liberty of stopping passengers to check their bags. That is being conducted. But I want to be able to imagine that we can be safe without metal detectors, because that is the world I want to live in. And I think in in this convening, it's simply not enough to just say yes or no to metal detectors here. I think we ought to either have a larger forum to discuss like what the community needs and how we want to be able to move towards that. I know that this community hosted a healing session, and I don't know if there was a discussion around like, are we adding more community members and taking a community first approach to our safety? Because what we saw on the day of was also community members as first responders to when people were shot or wounded, when people needed to get escorted into the train across from the platform and into the R train, people responded. So I don't know if measures, more immediate measures, because I think we have to think about what are the short-term solutions here, what are the long-term structural solutions here for safety citywide, which should be in a forum, which I would love to host. I don't want to think that I'm the expert here for this for your question. I want to think that we are conspiring together, that we're collaborating. So I welcome your question, Nick, and I welcome the solutions. I want to take a community first approach, and I'm happy to offer both my opinions, but also hear from the community here, like what we want to do for the stations that border the two districts here that are networked, where young people are getting to school, people are coming into work here, people are leaving outside of the district to go to work outside of Brooklyn. I would love to think about additional forums for us to be able to come together. If that's something that the community here, the board would want and support, and bring in other folks who are not on the community board, who might have other opinions and perspectives for this discussion.
Thank you. And I know I said Nick was the last one, but I'll take one more question from Rovika since I didn't get to in the last round. Rovika?
Thanks, Julio. So my question is both to Alexa and Shahana. I've heard you talking about like some sort of forum or town hall. And I really want to push that idea, because from what I feel right now, it feels like, you know, this huge tragedy happened to our neighborhood and we're resilient people, so we responded. But what it feels like now is that all of the press has died down, and this is just going to become another sort of tragedy in our history here in Sunset Park, and we're going to respond because that's the community we are. But my concern is that, like, we're not seeing the mayor here, we're not seeing the borough president here, right? And they're not hearing from us directly about the impact this has. And also all of the other issues that we've raised, right? Homelessness, mental health services, actual safety. And so what can we do to get to that point where we do have some sort of town hall, some sort of forum, and where we get the mayor, the borough president, the speaker, the council speaker, and other folks here who are making decisions about budget here to hear from us?
Well, I would propose, not to take up the thought space here, I would propose if there is a committee on the board that could be a point person to our two offices to help plan, because I think the agenda shouldn't just be planned by our two offices, calling in the other elected officials, Ravika, you just mentioned, and then to thoughtfully think about, like, I've been to forums where it's, you know, like a venting session. I don't want another venting session. I want an opportunity for one to hear out the top concerns, and for the community to come with some recommendations too, and also elected officials offering some outcomes. So that's just off the top of my head, but I think we should be very deliberate about the kind of agenda we put together for something of this nature. So not to replicate like another useless gathering with no outcomes.
Julio, can we as a community board really take that on to work with council members Vilas and Hanif to get that done? I'm happy to support in some way that I can.
Yes, actually would love to bring this to the Health and Mental Health Committee.
Great.
I'm going to put Cynthia Gonzalez on the spot, and I would love to bring this to some other committees if they would be interested.
And
but this is
yeah. Go ahead, Julio.
no, yeah, but I would love to see this happen, and I definitely do think that this is a much needed conversation. But I do also agree that I don't think it needs to be a venting session, but definitely about what can we do moving forward, and what can we do as a community to not let this die down.
Yeah, and I would just add on that, you know, I wouldn't go immediately from like this to one meeting to the mayor, right? I do feel like we need a couple of discussions in our community. We have a wide range of ideas and emotions that we are still processing and sitting with. You know, I think we need to engage in a multiple, in a series of conversations so that we can process these things together. I don't think there's an easy, like, here are the 5 solutions and we're done in one meeting. So I think there's a little bit more of a process there, but I really do like the suggestion of working on these things together because it is, you know, our community in whole. So I absolutely would be happy to work with community board members and other community members who are interested in hosting these conversations so that they're both productive and, you know, they meet a need of like being expansive in our thinking and supporting each other and engaging in a good dialogue. I would hate for it to turn into something unproductive. So I'm totally down for it.
Yes. And thank you again so much, Councilmember Aviles and Councilmember Hanif, for joining us and for the really thoughtful conversation and suggestions. We're definitely going to be moving forward with something. We're going to be talking offline before to move some things next steps. Sorry, you're going to just say something?
I was just going to say thank you. I mean, I can't be on the rest of the meeting, but I just want you to know that I know this means that I'll miss public comments, and sometimes public comments are directed to the council member. I have every intention on reading those fabulous minutes so that we can make sure we respond to community members that have questions for our office and we close those loops. And the same with the board members. So while I can't be here throughout the whole meeting, please know that I will circle back on those things, and that will be the way our office hopes to engage for the rest of the board meetings. So thank you for the time, and sorry for taking up so much space, but there is a lot to talk about.
Thank you. And thank you, Councilmember Hanif, again for joining us.
Julio, sorry to interrupt the meeting. Can you rephrase or restate what is it that we are requesting again? Because there was a lot said and I got lost.
We're going to move forward or talk offline about having a public forum to bring the elected officials, mayor, borough president, other elected leaders, community groups, to talk about what's next and about mental health, public safety, and some other issues that are pertinent to the community pertaining to the attack and kind of like to hear from the community members. So it's more of like a conversation of what the forum would look like and how to kind of some next steps.
Thanks.
So moving on to the next item on the agenda, to public comment on 4 items on the agenda. So if this is for members of the public, if you have public comment for any item that is on the agenda, you have 3 minutes to speak, and you can raise your hand at this time.
I see no hands, Julio.
Give another 10 seconds. Okay, now we will go on to committee reports. I'm seeing there are no votes required for any of our committees tonight, but I will allow very, very short remarks from our committee heads, committee chairs. If they have any items, I myself do not have anything for education and youth. I will refer folks to the minutes. Public Safety Committee Chair. Let me just see if Cynthia, there you go. If you have any.
I too refer everyone to the minutes and to the comp stat attached. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Last Mile Trucking Special Committee, Katie Walsh.
Yes, I will.
She's referring everyone to the committee because I see a thumbs up.
Oh, no, sorry. I keep having it echoed. I don't know what I'm doing.
I'll do my quick updates. There's a meeting next week for the last mile committee. I would strongly encourage folks if you can come. Our last meeting was on March 23rd, and we heard proposed legislation from City Council, from Alexa Velas's office that was talked about today. That's going to be introduced. I would like to point you to the state level legislation for the indirect source rule that was just introduced by the assembly member, I think in the last day. There's some recent articles about that, so if you want to check that out, but that's again to regulate these last mile e-commerce facilities. And then we'll have some presentations at next Wednesday's meeting, again on the special text amendment that's going to be introduced, as well as hearing directly from the two agencies, Department of City Planning and Department of Transportation, on their thoughts on the present context of what to do about these as of right facilities. So please come next Wednesday and see you there.
Thank you. Parks Committee, Victor.
I will refer everybody to the minutes.
Thank you so much, Victor.
You're welcome.
Executive Committee, I will refer folks to the minutes. The Joint Housing and Sanitation Environment Committee.
Hi, everyone. So we had a joint meeting on April 11th, and I'd like to give a huge thank you to Genesis for helping to facilitate that meeting, and also to Joe Canali and the rest of the Environmental and Sanitation Committee for helping to put together this joint meeting. It was really an informational where the Department of Environmental Conservation and a representative from the State Department of Health talked about details of the Brownfield Cleanup program and submission of 737 4th Avenue's application to the state-led program. There's meeting notes, presentation slides, and an addendum that Joe Canali put together, included in the email circulated with today's agenda. But just really quickly, some main takeaways from that meeting are that the Brownfield Cleanup program is a voluntary program where developers can apply and receive tax credits for participating. And the cleaner they make the site, the more tax credits they'll receive. And this site, 737 4th Avenue, that was recently rezoned from manufacturing to mixed use of commercial and residential, used to be used as a gasoline surface station, as well as an auto repair shop, a metal manufacturer, and a junkyard. So throughout the years, any of these activities may have contaminated the site. So in August of this year, the developer, they submitted an application to be accepted to the Brownfield Cleanup program after they ran some initial analysis suggesting that the site may have been contaminated. And it's really important to note that in New York City, a majority of residential developments, they may qualify to be a part of this program. And that was a point that Nick had helped to bring up. So 737, they hired a contractor, PW Grosser Consulting, to test the site. And right now where things are is that they're conducting a remedial investigation. And once that's complete, there will be an opportunity for the public to comment on the remedial action work plan. And once we have more information about when that public comment period will happen, we'll be able to distribute information. But if anyone would like to receive updates, you can sign up to be included on the Department of Environmental Conservation, the DEC website, just by going to www.dec.gov. And I'm almost done really quickly. Just want to also add that during the meeting, it was mentioned that as the contractor was doing their analysis, there was an equipment issue and they weren't able to collect outdoor air samples. But this is something that the State Department of Health, it's their call if they're going to force them to go back to collect outdoor air samples. So I just wanted to mention that so that that's something that is under our radar. It was also mentioned that during the meeting that in the early 90s, there were 2 spills at the site, and DEC promised to send us the spills report, and they did. So that information is included also in the agenda with this meeting in the email. It was a really great conversation and discussion that happened during the meeting. We're going to be scheduling a follow-up to discuss possible resolutions and to gather any lingering questions that we want to send to DEC. And then also just to take it back a little bit, we're also going to use that meeting to regroup with the Housing Committee to also discuss potential resolutions regarding the shelter at 5113 Second Avenue. And just because I'm all about transparency, I do want to mention this as a side note. On March 31st, our DHS liaison had mentioned to Jeremy that a stabilization shelter would be open at the Globe Best Western Hotel, and that's at 850 4th Avenue. And they mentioned that it would be a capacity of 150 men and women. However, later that same day, our liaison reached back out to CB7 to say that DHS is no longer moving forward with that proposal to open a stabilization bed program at the Glow Hotel. So there was not a lot more information provided other than they weren't moving forward. So just wanted to make everyone aware of that. And then Joe Hennessis, do you have anything that you'd like to add in regards to the meeting on April 11th?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. So we'll be following up with a follow-up meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Antoinette. And lastly, Health Committee, Cynthia Gonzalez.
I would refer everyone to the report.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. The next item on the agenda is we have a second roll call. This is for members who were not, who missed the first roll call. So you only if you were missed the first roll call. So go ahead, Maria, I will turn it back to you.
Okay. Ramon Acevedo. Ramon Acevedo. Mohammed Bahi. Mohammed Bahi. Stacy Boyd.
Here.
Thank you. Julixa Campusano. Julissa Campusano. Justin Collins. Justin Collins. David Estrada. Kin Fung.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anthony Giglio. Kenny Guan.
I'm here.
Thank you. Zach Jacy. Waco.
Yeah.
Thank you. Joseph Lara. Barbara Lee. Arelis Martinez.
I'm here.
Thank you. Dan Murphy.
Here.
Thank you. Gloria Rodriguez Navoa.
Here.
Thank you. Karen Rolnick. Fred Wolf. Cesar Zuniga. Second roll call called.
Thank you, Maria. And before we go into elected officials report, I did want to quickly mention, I know someone mentioned in the Q&A regarding viewing the minutes and committee reports. If you're joining the meeting as an attendee, you can always request a copy by emailing the board office at bk0707@cb.nyc.gov until we get everything posted on our website. I just wanted to mention that. I just lost my page. Now we're going to our elected officials and representatives. And I believe I'm turning it to, where did my screen go? Natasha, is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Hi, Julio.
There we go.
I have John Watkins from the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office. John, if you're still here, please unmute yourself and you can speak.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Can you see me?
No, we can't see you, John. We can see your name.
Okay, all right. I won't mess with it then. Anyway, good evening to everyone. First of all, DA Eric Gonzalez sends his well wishes and condolences regarding the very unfortunate incident that occurred actually a week and a day ago. He's quite concerned about what occurred. And throughout that day, DA Gonzalez was on site for the entire day, along with other law enforcement agencies that were both federal and local and state, and to actually set up a dragnet throughout the city and the borough to locate and apprehend the perpetrator of that heinous crime. And fortunately, that person was arrested the day after and brought to justice. And so that has fallen into our community in Brooklyn. And so the DA his office will have severe involvement with that, along with the other law enforcement and prosecuting agencies, both state and federal. So last Saturday, I was, along with one of my colleagues, at the event in Sunset Park to help bring forth healing and a sense of community and concern. And so it was a very good day. The weather cooperated with us, and we were able to engage many, many people who expressed their deep concerns about that incident. And so please know that DA Gonzalez, along with his ADAs and other staff at the agency, are very focused on this, and also very focused on just in general keeping the community, in particular Sunset Park, but all Brooklyn neighborhoods and communities safe. This is just the beginning. The DA realizes there is still a lot of pain that exists and will be around this incident for a long time. So the community definitely has his attention, and he will be back in touch with some updates and some plans in terms of what he himself can do. So please know that DA Gonzalez and the DA's office is concerned, and that we're definitely on top of this matter. I encourage people to go to our website, brooklyndA.org. I believe the DA has some comments regarding the mass shooting on that website. But in general, just to be updated about all of the different prosecutions that are being brought forth in the Brooklyn DA's office. Thank you so much, and have a good and safe evening.
Okay, Julio, I don't see anybody else from elected official rep on the list here.
Okay. Are there any other elected officials on as attendees? I see.
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Hi all. I'm here on behalf of Councilmember Hanif. She had to hop off for an event that's taking place, but I did want to make a quick announcement. Our office is hosting a food distribution event. It does fall a little bit right outside of the community board area, but we did want to extend the invitation to all of you because we're neighbors. We'll be having a Ramadan food distribution event this Friday at Kensington Plaza, which is located on 114 Beverly Road. And we'll also be giving out COVID testing kits and masks. The council member will be there, as well as staff from our office. So, if you want to meet us, if you want any specific resources on how we can help you, we'd like to extend that invitation over to all of you. And we'll be there from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock this Friday. So yeah, just wanted to make that announcement and wish you all well.
Thank you. So moving on to the next items on the agenda, I will be tabling the chairperson's report. So stay tuned to exciting things next month, and we will go to the district manager's report.
Good evening, everybody. I have a few items. Typically, the chairperson would make this announcement, but he's not here tonight. We had a resignation from the board today. Brian Slater, who's been a board member for 4 or 5 years, resigned as of today. So his name has not been on the roll calls. On Sunday is the Brooklyn Half Marathon, which is going to be Sunday morning through mid-afternoon. While it is mostly northern Brooklyn, it does touch our district at Park Circle, so you may want to make travel arrangements as necessary. The board staff has now all been trained on WordPress, although I would like to get an additional training for myself, which we can have because we recorded it. And I have been trained in the city's website accessibility law. And now that our training is complete, we can start populating our new website. So hopefully I'll have some updated information soon on when we could expect our new website to launch, which, as all city websites are, will be in 20 languages and will provide a lot more information than our current website allows us. And I don't know why my Alexa device just went off. So 2 weeks ago, I attended a district manager meeting with Deputy Borough President Diana Richardson. We all talked about various issues that we had with many city agencies and issues that community boards have. I spoke specifically about our many DOT issues. Many of my fellow district managers backed me up on problems that we've been having with the agency. And I also spoke about the need for translation services, which I've been trying to get as a budgeted item for all community boards and other agencies as well. Earlier in the month, I attended the Sunset Park Task Force, EDC Sunset Park Task Force. I was asked to give a brief synopsis of what went on. Our own Nick Azadian made a presentation on the actions of the strategy committee when it comes to wind energy. The committee is having a public meeting tomorrow. I believe we put the information out to everybody in an email. We will do so again tomorrow. Perhaps Nick later on during new or old business will want to give a little more about his presentation. There was also DOT was there, and they spoke about blue highways and neighborhood loading zones, the New York City Clean Trucks program, school safety improvements, waterfront greenway, and other infrastructure. But the borough commissioner was there, and he kind of half made an announcement about 3rd Avenue, which I'm trying to get clarification on and don't seem to have a clear message on yet. So I hope to have information on perhaps an upcoming study on 3rd Avenue for you very soon. Metro Sound Pros, who's the company that did our sound system and video system in our boardroom, we've finally been able to schedule with them in about 2 weeks. So they're going to do a walkthrough with us and a training on all of our new and old equipment. And we're going to be able to figure out and perhaps even have a budget for upgrading our technology to be able to do hybrid meetings. So stay tuned to the May board meeting for that. Liquor licenses since the March board meeting are 19. They're available for anybody who'd like to look through them. And then finally, the police department statistics have been shared with all of you, the CompStat statistics.
Thank you, Jeremy. And now we will move into old business. Do we have any old business? Rovika.
I'm sorry, I don't have an old business. I was just kind of curious, Jeremy, like it seems a little, we don't have a representative from the 72nd precinct to speak to the community board today.
We did not specifically invite anybody, no.
Okay, I just think that, you know, after like a mass shooting in our neighborhood, which is unthinkable in New York City. It feels bizarre that there isn't like anyone from the 72nd precinct here to talk to the community board and like answer any questions from community board members and the general public about safety issues.
So yes, it's correct. They're not here tonight. I do know that they held their precinct council meeting, and I know Cynthia Felix was there and attended that. But of course, you're correct. They're not here tonight.
I just want to register that I think that's incredibly disrespectful to our community.
Thank you for raising that, Rebecca. Do I have any other questions? Jimmy?
I just want to say on Q&A, there's a person asking, is there, like a Chinese translation? I think he has a question. So I just want to let you know that I don't mind to be the translator.
Thank you, Jimmy. I will ask to call on you during public comment.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any old business? Okay. Do we have any new business? Hands flying. Go ahead, Cindy Vandenbosch.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just in response to Madeline McDonald's comment in the Q&A about the agenda, and especially since the first public comment, members of the public really need to know what's on the agenda. I'm just wondering, as long as we're doing virtual meetings, why we couldn't just share the approved items on the agenda so people could visually see them at the beginning of the meeting, so that they know what is on the agenda. I realize like you can reach out for via email, but to me, it just seems like it wouldn't be that hard to share our screens and actually show the agenda, to make it as accessible as possible for community members to be effectively participate in the meeting. So I just wanted to share that because I felt that was like, we want to encourage more participation in the community. And I feel like part of that is making the meetings as accessible as possible to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. I know we did that for a while. And I think we stopped because it for some, it was a bit cumbersome not seeing everyone's face. But I think when it comes for folks seeing what's on the agenda, I think that's important. So let's revisit that for the May board meeting. Grisel Amador.
Hi. United Senior Center participate in both events in the community last Saturday with Alexa Viles and Marcela. And last Monday, we participate in 4th Avenue and 36th Street with Arelis Martinez. The second thing I want to say is that this Friday, we're going to celebrate Grandparents' Day. So that is in conjunction with Maimonides Hospital, with New York Langone, and other organizations in the community. So everybody has a special invitation. Will be this Friday, 10 to 11. There will be different tables with information for the seniors. Then on April 27, we're gonna be working in conjunction with the 5th Avenue Committee. They will go to the senior center and they will open page the application in order for the seniors apply for apartment for seniors. So that will be like Housing Connect application. That will be April 27. And then in May 6, we're gonna celebrate Mother's Day with live music and everything. So everybody has a special invitation. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grisel. Antonia Martinez.
Hi, so I just wanted to quickly add to the point that Cindy had made and suggest if committee leads, instead of referring to the referring folks to the notes, to the committee notes, if they could provide a really quick report back, just so that members of the community can have some context on the types of meetings that happen during the month. I know that the meeting agenda and the notes can be pretty lengthy, and it might be hard to really put the weight on community members to attend this lengthy meeting, only to be referred to notes that they may receive at an unknown date. I think it would be really beneficial to even just give a quick update so that they have some context, and then use that as a basis to maybe go back to later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Last one, Cynthia Felix.
Hi, I just want to make everyone aware that there will be a breast cancer screening this Saturday that's being hosted by Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez in front of the 72nd Precinct. Melissa's at another meeting right now, so she just asked me to please announce it. It's a no-cost mammogram. I believe, Jeremy, she said she sent you the flyer in case anyone needs to register.
Thank you, Cynthia. And now to public comment. So for members of the public, you can comment on any topic. So we have Zhang. And Jimmy, I may ask you to translate, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I need someone can translate for the because I only can speak for Chinese.
Yes, Jimmy Lee.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
OK，这个垃圾车在八大道现在是非常的混乱啊，我们需要希望第7社区委员会能够讨论一下，怎么解决这个垃圾车在八大道他们乱停乱卸，然后阻碍交通的问题。
Okay, so he's talking about the garbage trucks on the 8th Avenue has created a lot of traffic congestions. They park, they block the traffic, and loading and unloading the stuff, and it create a lot of traffic issues for the people.
而且这些垃圾车是私人的公司的，不是政府的。
And those truck companies are private, not the one by sanitation.
Thank you. Was that all, Zhang?
Yeah, well, they say hopefully the CB7 can help out to manage the situation.
I'd like to get a few more details. For some reason, our recording stopped. Hang on. Okay. I'd like to get a few more details. If we can figure out a contact for Zhang Lin, let's do that, and we could speak to him offline about this issue.
OK， 我们需要更多一些资料，我们可以在线下，然后你提供资料，我们可以跟进这个问题。
除了这个线下提供的资料，第7社区委员会有没有什么计划来改善八大道的这个交通状况？
Okay, is the CB7 has any plan to improve the traffic congestion issue on the 8th Avenue?
This is a big issue with DOT. We are going to be dealing with it this year. Yes.
OK， 这个是很大的问题，跟交通局今年的话，我们第7社区委员会会跟他们继续协商。
有没有什么比较具体的信息可以让我们知道的？
Are there any details on the plan on our communication with DOT?
DOT has a plan. You could look at our website, which actually, I'm sorry, our YouTube channel from our October meeting about their plan at that point. That is the only plan I am aware of. And that meeting is in 3 languages.
OK， 你可以去 YouTube channel， 就是第7社区委员会网站也有。然后那去年10月份那个开会有就是交通局提供的一些就是关于一些八大道这个计划，所以你可以去上面看，它也有中文的。
所以这个垃圾车这件事情，就是只能在线下，然后具体给他们这个垃圾车公司的联系方式，然后等待第7社区委员会去跟进，对吗？
So I'm going to provide, information to you guys off the line, and in regard to, the private garbage truck company, and you guys will follow up the issue, right?
Yes, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you for your help.
Yes, 是的，没错，就是我们是会这样子。
Thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Zhang. Jahi Rose.
Oh, good afternoon. Well, good evening. My name is Jahi Rose.
So we lost you for a second. Continue.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Okay, my name is Jahi Rose. I'm
your audio is a little broken. Hello? Okay, we're going to come back to you, Jahi Rose, because your audio is a bit broken. Madeline?
Hi, this is my first meeting, so thank you for bearing with me as I try and figure out all the way everything works. So it seems like there's a couple of themes coming up today which connect to the issue that I wanted to raise. The air pollution and noise pollution concerns raised by Councilmember Avilés and Mr. Jeffrey, and the sometimes questionable police responses raised by Ms. Rajkishan. So what I wanted to ask about and mention was the 1 to 3 ice cream trucks parked illegally on the crosswalk in the no standing zone at the intersection of 44th Street and 6th Avenue Sunset Park Playground for about 8 hours a day, running the diesel engines to generate the cooling mechanism for the ice cream trucks. The 3 main offenders, license plates, numbers, I'll read them out for the minutes, are 33646MM, 69516NC, and 69515NC. They're clearly violating the parking regulations. I've reached out also to the Department of Consumer Protection, the Department of Environment for the noise pollution and the other pollution concerns. I was told that the best avenue to pursue was indeed the parking violation avenue because they're in an illegal spot. It's an obvious health hazard. We all know it leads to cancer, asthma, hearing damage. There have been road safety issues with children running in front of the trucks, and the trucks are fighting one another to get to a spot and almost hitting kids. They've been blocking the entrance to the park when the ambulances can't respond to incidents. And what I've noticed is the police enforcement is either lacking or not effective. So, I had some questions for the police who did not show up tonight, but I will put them to the group, and you know more than I on these issues, and there's probably a longer history. So maybe someone can speak to it, and some of these questions can be put to the police at a later date. I would like to know how many tickets were issued to these trucks in April 2022. And I would like to know how many complaints were filed and addressed. I have myself put in 311 complaints, and today, for example, and I'm going to read it into the record, I put 3 311 reports in about the 2 trucks which have been there all day and which are still there. Each of these complaints was closed and marked fixed. A police officer responded and fixed the situation. And in reality, no police officer showed up and the trucks are still there. So something's going on where there's either a human error or a technological error in the response. In the past, sometimes the 311 is effective, but it appears that there is some interesting approach at present. So today, 1:06 p.m., report number 100.
Madeline, if you could just wrap up.
Yeah. Okay, I'll read the report numbers, and maybe someone can respond to some of the questions I raised. So 100 29998, 100 30172, and 100 32566. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Ms. McDonald, if you would please give the community board, send me an email tomorrow to BK07, that's BK like Burger King 07 at CB like communityboard.nyc.gov. I'd be happy to chat with you about the issue.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll return back to Jackie Rose.
Julio, if I may, before we proceed.
Sorry, public comment.
It's
we don't
pertinent to
respond.
them. It's helpful for what she's trying to do.
Nick, sorry, we're not going to respond to public comment. Jackie Rose?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you so much.
So wonderful. So my name is Jahai Rose. I'm the Director of Outreach for the Civilian Complaint Review Board. As you may know, the CCRB is a city agency. Our responsibility is to take complaints about police misconduct. We can investigate, mediate, or administratively prosecute those claims. The CCRB is back to doing in-person presentations at our 100 Church Street, Manhattan office. Since the last time we visited your community board, the agency has been given the ability to be able to investigate bias-based policing and racial profiling, in addition to investigating complaints of sexual assault or sexual misconduct made against New York City police officers. We're definitely looking forward to working with the community board and members of the community to spread awareness about the fact that the CCRB is the city's official process for taking complaints. I'm going to leave my information in the chat or in the Q&A. If anyone would like to have a CCRB outreach presentation, workshop for either as an adult group or a youth group, or as having an event, would you like the CCRB to table? Feel free to reach out to me and we would love to participate. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night and thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you so much for the information. Sylvia Augusto?
Hi, I'm calling because the Healing Center is having their Teen Dating Violence Awareness Walkathon next Saturday on the 30th, April 30th in Brooklyn Heights. They start in Brooklyn Heights. They go over the Brooklyn Bridge into the steps of City Hall, trying to spread awareness to young people about healthy relationships. I'm going to have the Healing Center send some information, and maybe you can put it on the website for the community board to let people know, let people walk with their sons and daughters, and talk about having a healthy relationship. That's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. And last but certainly not least, Maria Roca.
Hi, I'm there. I'm hearing.
Yes, you are.
Everybody's hearing. Good. I want to thank the person who 3 speakers ago, I believe the right pronunciation is Yahi Rose or Rose Yahi. This is Maria Roca, Friends of Sunset Park, and I'm glad that other people are being as thorough and as intentional about once and for all, if ever, getting rid of the ice cream trucks, particularly at the entrance to Sunset Park at 6th Avenue and 44th Street. Ms. Rose, you please get in touch with me at friendsofsunsetpark@yahoo.com or 718-755-8086. Friends of Sunset Park has battled this situation, the noise, the safety, all the issues that you mentioned for decades. Our fight started back in the 1990s when the group Friends of Sunset Park was formed. So we are, it's good that someone else as detailed as you, as we have been, has taken up this fight, because it is a fight. We had every agency respond sooner, mostly later, to no avail. On whatever of the issues that you raised, which are the same issues that we raised for the many decades now. So please, whoever is listening to this is an issue for all of us, whether you patronize the park or not. As Ms. Rose or Ms. Yahi, I'm not sure which is the last name and the first name, mentioned, many of us have witnessed ambulances waiting to get into the park to respond to an emergency inside a park. And many of you know that 2 to 3 minutes of health of attention by EMS for someone having a heart attack is the difference between life and death. And if the driver of the ice cream is in the middle of serving the ice cream, he tells you, no, wait a minute, because I have seen it, I have witnessed it, as others many. So they feel so empowered that this is their spot, that this belongs to them, because they have to make a living. This is what they will tell you. But I have to make a living regardless of who it hurts, who it on the many levels. So whether anyone, and if I repeat our email address, friendsofsunsetpark@yahoo.com. If you want to add to this, please get in touch with us, and all together will be a much greater number of people, because everybody and their mother in government in the city of New York that has anything to do with the issues at hand has been contacted for decades, and nobody has done anything about it. This goes beyond writing letters. This goes beyond. So thank you for the time to support Ms. Rosa Yahi and anyone else who wants to join this. Many people need to be on this. 1 person, 2 people, 15 people. We've had 40 people writing letters, 50 people writing letters. And it's like, well, it doesn't rise to the occasion of a real, what do you mean? Someone dying of a heart attack doesn't rise to the occasion of a real emergency or real issue and the quality of life of the city? I don't have the answer. Maybe some of you have an answer to their question. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maria. Cynthia Gonzalez, do you have public comment?
Oh, I don't have a public comment, but before we leave, I had a question for Jeremy. In terms of the status of our website, when can we actually expect that the website will be up and running?
I don't know that yet. We just got our training and we have to figure out a work plan next.
We have the monies to put it in place though?
It's costing us $0.
Okay. Okay, so we don't even have a projection on,
Not yet. I need about 2 weeks before I'm gonna have a full work plan.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Nick, do you have public comment?
I do.
Go ahead.
Very briefly, this is in reference to Maria and I believe it was Madeline. The New York City passed a local law in 2018 called Local Law 58, which allows for pretty much anybody to report an idling truck if it is idling for more than 3 minutes, which it sounds like these trucks are doing. And you can do so online. I would encourage you to look at the Citizens Air Complaint Program, because in that program, if you were to submit a complaint, which usually involves a 3-minute video, which can be shot from a cell phone, you could then also be entitled to a portion of the fine that that particular truck would have to pay. And that's it. There was an article that was in CNBC and also the New York Times regarding this program as well. I would encourage you to take a look at that, as that's another means of trying to force compliance via citizens rather than relying on the police department.
Thank you, Nick. So that concludes public comment. And we move to adjournment. And since there are no other items on the agenda and we move to adjournment, the meeting is now closed.
Motion to adjourn on the record.
Thank you so much, Pat. Have a good evening, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy the nice weather.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you all.
Good night,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Good night.